And welcome everyone to game number 3 between Glenn and Gogy here in the MSL Code Silver Semifinals. We are here on Whirlwind, one of the largest maps in the map pool. It's actually a little bit of an older map as well. So it's one that's understood pretty well, and apparently we have Gogy with a faulty mouse. So this could make micro quite hard as, while keyboard shortcuts do quite a lot for me, I feel like without a mouse I'd be pretty bad at micro. So we do have up here in the top left-hand corner of Whirlwind, we have the pink Protoss Glenn. His opponent down here in the bottom left is the red Protoss player, Gogy. So Gogy has so far fallen down 0-2 in this matchup so far. Although the games are close, I feel like the skill levels are closer than the outcomes indicate. Although Glenn has been bringing the noise, so I don't think there's any dispute there. The other thing to know is that this is, in fact, a 4-player map, so the other players don't know where their opponents start. You can see them both scouting in the wrong direction first, which means they're both going to have a long time before they do anything. They're both opening up with gateways. Doesn't look like they're planning on expanding anytime soon, so we could see some crazy aggression out early on as well. However, I would be a little bit surprised to see tons of early aggression, mostly because Warp Gate will take a little while to finish, and there's not enough time now to build a proxy, as they still don't know where they are. So there's no point in building a proxy. So we're going to instead see a little bit of just normal 1-base stuff, which is actually really uncommon these days. Most players start out with the attempt at going for some sort of an expand type build, as it gives you, if you get good enough at defending, you actually have a huge advantage as you move into the later parts of the game. But that's not what's being favored here by both of these Protoss players. So, to see, okay, so now we do have a confirmation from Gogy. He now knows where his opponent is. Now, is he going to continue to scout? Yes. Yes, he is going to continue to scout. And now Glenn does, in fact, know as well. Yep. Where's he going? We're going to watch him drive around. Where's he going? Okay. He's going to go double check, make sure everything is going normal. You don't want to go over there and find out, once again, that there's nothing in their base, and you're going to have a proxy 2-gate right here. Or right here. I'm actually a little bit surprised that with the early aggression tendencies, ooh, this could actually be a good call right here. The Zealot could potentially catch this probe. Although my guess is that it won't, actually. It'll probably get a 1 or 2 hits in. Nope, not even going to get that. So the scout does, in fact, go in. Both people get their scouting done. And now we're back to square one. Early Stargate. So 2-gate Cybercore Stargate, whereas his opponent has just gone with 2 gates. So both of them are researching Warp Gate. I'm surprised that this was not proxied, actually. So, ooh, now that it has been scouted, he go ahead and cancels that. Is he going to go with an immortal or robot? Yeah, okay. So robotics facility, double robotics facility. Oh my goodness, this man is insane. Okay, I don't actually know if you can support 2 robotics facilities and 2 gateways simultaneously off of 1 base, but we will find out. His opponent, Glenn, deciding to throw down his own Stargate after scouting Gogy, but Gogy does not have a Stargate anymore, so I wonder what he will produce. And the reason I was saying I'm kind of surprised that we're not seeing a proxy Stargate is oracles are ridiculously powerful. This is actually what Glenn's checking for right now. He's trying to make sure there's no proxies. I wouldn't be surprised to see if he had checked over here. And oracles completely decimate your opponent's mineral line. That's basically what they do. So, oh, it's going to be a Void Ray. Void Rays are a little bit more utilitarian. They're more useful in every situation, although they're not as outstandingly useful in other situations. They will be good, though, against the armored units, so that's something to consider. And also, Gogy's got this expansion already on its way, way before his opponent, and it doesn't actually appear that his opponent's going to be going for one. Actually, he could. He's got the money. Is he floating the money on purpose? No, he's gone double Stargate. Another Void Ray. He's actually just going to go mass Void Ray. This could be really crazy. And with some Zealots being warped in, No, there's no expansion. That's exactly what Gogy was checking for. He's going to leave that Zealot there, most likely, to notify him when he does expand. And if Gogy can hold this, I think he's going to have a big advantage in economy. Although right now he's way behind in economy, which is a little bit ridiculous. He needs to start chrono boosting probes out now, so he has the ability to saturate this base when it's done, and I don't think that's actually going to happen. Instead, it looks like Gogy's feeling a little bit pressured, as that's what's happened before. And now the expansion does go down for Glenn, so he will be catching up, but he has a worker lead already, and I would not be surprised to see that continue. Okay, so this is something I'm actually going to point out. Once again, that's 200 minerals, or now 150 minerals just sitting around that's not doing anything. So this could be another few units already. That could be a pylon. It could be a lot of different things. And the other thing is that you want to keep producing probes on your one base, even if you end up oversaturating this right before this ends up finishing. You then have the ability to transfer a lot more probes. And then your income kind of skyrockets. Instead, now you have roughly the same number of workers to spread out into two bases, so your income doesn't actually change that much. And so generally, you need to continue producing probes out of both structures for as long as you can. And so even when you expand, if you have 30 probes on minerals here, that's fine. You can take some of them down, and then your income will actually increase. That's something I just want to point out. The other thing is you have all these buildings. And notice how many of them are being active right now. Okay, we got one. We got one. We have one building things, and this is where all that money... There's another 100 minerals there. With another 100 minerals, you could warp in additional units, and that's just not what's happening. A hallucinated phoenix, though, being used. Gonna get some scouting information. It's a great idea. All the void rays so far are being hidden. That's a great idea. Your opponent doesn't even know. He will now, though. He's going to see a whole bunch of them. He's going to see all 5 Void Rays. That's a big scout, actually. So what do you do as Gogy? That's actually a really hard question, because your opponent's already got 5. Okay, he's going to throw down double Stargate, try to catch up. He's probably not going to go for any Robotics Bay tech, so no Colossi. I think... I would probably go Zealot Void Ray. I'm actually a fan of Zealot Charge Lot, or Zealot Void Ray Charge Lot, as it lets you spend all your gas on the Void Rays and then all your minerals on your charge lots. It's a pretty good composition, actually, as it's a balanced way to spend your money, and that's something you always want to look at when you're playing a game, is how do I spend my money at this equivalent rate? Because you notice your income is much lower per minute in terms of gas, so you need to know what you're going to do with all the extra minerals, particularly if you're saying, like, I'm going to build Archons only for some reason, because you just started playing. You've heard that Archons were good units, which is true, but if you only made Archons, you would have so many minerals left over, so you have to figure out in your build order exactly how you're going to compete with that. The other thing I want to point out, related to what I was talking about earlier, is all these... Gogy been having good compositions, but the macro is what's killing you. There you go. Some additional... So first of all, your pylon blocked. That happens. Understand that. There's all of these buildings that are unused, and you're floating a little bit of money, and so your supply is down by a ton. Most of it being in Void Rays, which is scary. Void Rays is not something you want your opponent to have lots of supply in. Good use, though, of continuing to get scouting information. I just wonder if it'll be enough. And Phoenixes are actually not good against Void Rays. Let's check this out. Yep, they do additional damage versus armored units, or against light units, and these are armored, is what I do believe they're considered. Yep. So no bonus damage. Luckily, the Phoenix also don't take bonus damage, and perhaps what he's thinking is that he's already down in the Viking, not Viking. Wow, Void Ray count. So why bother? And instead go for something that you can make quickly and get a lot of them, which is Phoenixes. So that could happen. The other thing, I'm still glad to see Gogy continuing to produce additional probes, as now he's starting to get an additional economy. But yeah, there's 150 minerals there, and then this one did have another 100. So you just... queuing units can be really painful. But it makes you feel like you have low money, so it feels like you're playing really well. but if it's sitting on a queue, it's not actually being quite as effective. So looking at the army compositions, we do see that Gogy's actually got the larger army. We do have 4 Immortals, 9 Stalkers, 7 Void Rays, and 4 Sentries. The Zealots here could cause a little bit of problem, but the Void Rays are going to be probably the biggest problem, as you are now all the way up to 9 Void Rays. 9 Void Rays against 9 Stalkers. I'm pretty sure I know which one wins that engagement, and if you don't, you should just go play with the map editor and figure out how good Void Rays are against things that have armored armor. And yes, I know that was redundant, but it wasn't technically. So, worker count still definitely favoring Glenn. You see that reflected a little bit in the army supply as well. In fact, that's most of the difference, as the army for Gogy is actually a little bit larger in terms of value. But I think, I don't know compositionally if it's going to be as good against this Void Ray Charge Lot, no, Void Ray Zealot style army. Also, I'd like to point out we don't have any Mothership Cores on the map. Okay, I was lying. We have a Mothership Core on the map that I was currently looking at because I'm terrible at this game. So the Mothership Core, I would say, is a really big change from Wings of Liberty. Remember, the Mothership Core allows you to recall, so once your Mothership Core is at full energy, I actually don't mind going out and attacking. Because if you have the ability to recall, you don't necessarily have to lose anything, because if you get in a bad place, you get surrounded, just whoop, I'm back home, totally fine. And that's something that should be noted, and it should be used, as especially against Zerg players. You can go put some pressure on and then get out of there once the Zerglings get a surround on you. The Phoenixes, they're going to start fighting. The Phoenixes are going to try to take out Void Rays one-on-one, and we're going to see that Void Rays are way better against Phoenixes than Phoenixes are against Void Rays. Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened. So, good try, Phoenixes. Ouch. That hurts. This third base is all the way up and running, and it is actually populated with workers, as there are 67 to 46. That's a big difference. The income is going to start swaying really out of control in favor of Glenn if this goes on for too much longer. And also, looking at production, we do have Gogy continuing to produce Void Rays. He is getting the range increased, so he will outrange those Void Rays by just a little bit, as these are range 6. But the Phoenixes, there's just not enough of them, although they do now have that upgrade, I believe. Yeah, there we go. +7, so if you can micro these perfectly, I think you could do fine. But now, here comes the Zealot's getting up in the face of the Immortals. That's not what you want to have happen. And the Phoenix is not using their additional range. There they go. And now all these Void Rays doing so much damage to those Stalkers, and it looks like that's going to be it's going to be pretty much it for that engagement. Skill Rays, so good against armored units. And we're going to see a Fleet Beacon out of Glenn as well. That's a little bit interesting. I wonder if he's going to go for Carriers or Tempests. I think Tempests are probably more likely, given the way things are set up right now. Although Carriers, that's old school. I like Carriers. They're good units. They're enjoyable. Nothing like shooting a whole bunch of robot planes at your opponent to kill them. That seems like a pretty good idea. I can see who... Like, the person at Blizzard that came up with that in the conference room, I actually would have given them a high five right on the spot. Although Tempests are not bad either. They look really cool. They do tons of damage versus massive units. The Fleet Beacon's done, but we're not seeing any use of it yet. I'm interested to see what is actually coming out. And as of right now, nothing. Nothing's coming out. No units being produced by either side at this point in time. We do see 2 Phoenixes now. Continued Phoenix production. Continued. He's going to get an air superiority just through numbers. The problem with that is once the air stuff is dead, assuming it, of course, can kill all of it, it's going to be really difficult to deal with whatever's on the ground. And yes, it is Carriers. Excellent. And he is getting the Graviton Catapult. Make sure you got to launch those interceptors more quickly. And we see Glenn feeling like he's super rich. Daddy Warbucks is throwing down 2 more bases, as he knows that his opponent doesn't have a very large army, and he's getting close to max, so he's starting to spend money on infrastructure, which is totally appropriate. I like this placement here. I would have liked to see a little bit better wall off, but it's fine. It's better than no almost wall off, so I feel good about that. Probe transfer, real Phoenix, not scouting Phoenixes. This Phoenix is going to go over, and it could lower the mining rate a little bit by picking things up, but it cannot shoot them down, so there's not much of a point in that. Hallucinated Phoenix is going and getting some scouting done, and we're going to start seeing some proxy pylons by all the players scattering across the map. So the map is large, it allows for much longer games. That's something we always like. Ooh, probe transfer! Gogy, those probes! Free probes. There's free probes. It looks like now all those probes are getting transferred, as now all the Phoenixes are on their way. And that's going to be a lot of... No, you should run away from that. There's too many Stalkers. You can't engage that number of Stalkers with that few of Phoenix. Although there are still more Phoenixes on their way. We have 3 more there. He doesn't know about these other bases. He will, though. He will. He's going to find out these other bases. There you go. Now you can lift to your heart's content. There you go. Lift and pick off all the workers. Although I think at this point in time, the income has been so much higher for Glenn for so long that I don't know if it's really going to make a difference. Look at that. Glenn actually low on income right now, as all these workers now just getting back. Finally, you should see his income start to go up quite a bit. Although maybe it's Glenn, where's all your income? Where are all your workers? You're now actually down. These Phoenixes might have actually paid for themselves just in worker kills. Oh, so sad. Look at him struggling in there. If any of you have played Portal 2, that's what you look like when you're in those little beams in co-op and you do flips. That's what you look like as a stalker. Whoop. Got it. Okay, so carriers being added, the Void Rays. So many Void Rays. 13 Void Rays, 2 carriers against 19 Phoenix. And some Stalkers. So the Stalkers actually are an important part. There's actually enough of them that they could actually be useful. However, there's so many Zealots here as well. And Glenn is maxed and Gogy is not. So it looks like Glenn is going to be trying to defend against this. Yeah, there he goes. Okay, so he's not going to be trying to counterattack, which I thought was equally likely. And now we're going to see how this works. If he could get a good concave on this area down here, this could be a big deal. And the skill ray is going down. It's not going to be a big deal. Okay, what do we got going on? We have a whole bunch of Phoenixes trying to dance around. They need to get farther back if they're going to take out any of those Void Rays. Instead, I don't think they do, but I think they might have actually taken down a lot of the interceptors. Yeah. Nope, that's actually a complete lie. So Void Rays are really good. That's what we've learned here, gentlemen. We do have a counterattack from Glenn, and Warpin of Stalkers will be able to take care of that. And oh my goodness, workers killed. All of the workers that were at this base just got killed from this Warpin at the backside. Look at all those simultaneous Warpins. We've got 10 at a time. And that's going to be really hard to hold. There's no mothership forward here to throw down Photon Overcharge. There are 2 Tempests, but Tempests don't have enough DPS against light armor units like Zealots. And I think these Zealot counterattacks might actually be enough to break Gogy here pretty quick. There's not enough... Okay, he does have a lot more production. Is he just going to keep... Oh, he's going to go for his own Void Rays. Nice. If you can't succeed, join him. Void Rays will be really useful, although I think as soon as Glenn decides to make use of this army, because look, it's 193 to 65. I think this is a pretty much done deal with 5 bases to 2 mining bases. And we're just going to have to see when Glenn decides to go ahead and try to close that down. He's going to come in for the attack, and it looks like it's going to happen now, as it should. The Tempest here actually could do a lot of damage if he can keep the Tempest protected. Where are those Tempests? They're going to go around. They're not going to be able to defend. Instead, they're going to take out bases, which they're not bad at. But in terms of base defense, it's 58 army supply. He just doesn't have anything to defend. All of his money was dumped into Phoenixes, and the Phoenixes are gone. He does not have another base. He has nothing else to mine from. He's coldly mined out of his main And he's almost mined out of his naturals, so he's a little bit broke. He's probably going to end up being a long-distance mining. And so much more zealots coming in. He needs to go and find that... Okay, he did actually take care of that proxy pylon. So the counterattack should be stopped for at this point in time. I just don't know how Gogy's actually going to be able to do this. The Void Rays here are going to be picked off by these Stalkers almost immediately. Also, no Skill Ray skill thrown down. And without that, they don't do near as well. And it looks like Gogy is going to submit to the overwhelming force of Glenn. And I think, actually, once again, this was a really close game in the early game. I just feel like Gogy had some potentially weak decisions. The decision to go double Stargate is totally fine. I just think Phoenix production against Void Ray production, I would have just liked to see Void Rays versus Void Rays instead of Phoenix versus Void Rays. And then also, the engagement choices were not the greatest, but other than that, I feel like it was pretty good. Glenn, nice job with the macro. Nice job with the engagements in particular. And it looks like Glenn is going to be moving on to the winners bracket finals. So he's already in the winners bracket. He's just making his way onto the finals. And Gogy, good luck in the losers bracket. Remember, this is double elimination, so you are not necessarily out of this yet. So congratulations, everyone. And this is Logan signing.